What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the We Run on Coffee podcast. I am Erica.
And I'm Marissa. Oh,
and
Jesus.
Marissa's sick, so please excuse that Marissa's sick. If
That
you heard
was
last week's
horrible.
episode, you got the background. And if you hear today's episode, then you don't have the background yet, but that's okay. We are going to be talking about voting today. We decided to kind of switch up our topics that we had previously planned to do something a little bit more timely, because this is something that I'm kind of passionate about. I feel like it's important, and people on social media love to talk about how voting is important, but I feel like there was never a good place that I found where I had a bunch of resources together that could help me even understand what I believe, because sometimes I feel like it's just hard to navigate, like on social media. I think everything is, a lot of times what I'm seeing, everything is very like yes or no, polarizing, like this side or that side. And I'm like, what if I'm somewhere in the middle? Like, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for who I vote for? And so those are the kind of questions I want to help you guys answer today. If you feel like you're in the same boat, or if you just feel like you're a little bit uneducated, I've felt like that before, and it's not a bad thing, and it's not something to be scared of. If you feel like uneducated on a topic, we're just here to help you like get some resources and understand where you stand, I guess. Yeah. So if you have friends that also are kind of feeling the same way, or you just don't know how to talk about voting with your friends, you can also send them this episode. So I would encourage you guys to share this with your friends, share it with your family, share it with anyone who you feel like might need it, or that you want to start the conversation with, because I feel like that's a perfect way. So send our episode along. But before we do all that, we're going to do our regular things. So What are you drinking, Marissa?
I'm still drinking my Alani from last week. So I have the Witch's Brew Alani for our welcome to fall sort of time. And I also have water.
Love. I don't have water. I was just checking.
Oh.
Yeah, I just have my leftover iced Brave, and it's almost gone. And yeah, I'm going to get water after this because I need some. I haven't had any water today, which is bad. Yeah. But we are going to talk about really quickly what we're looking forward to, and then we'll dive into the voting topic. So what do you have coming up that you're looking forward to?
My doctor's appointment today.
That's funny. I actually have a doctor's appointment on my looking forward to.
Yay. I'm going to the doctor today to figure out what the heck's wrong with me. I was just telling Erica that I think I might have bronchitis because I have a horrible cough, and I haven't had a voice for like 2 weeks at this point. Yeah. And I feel like horrible, and I'm not getting any better. So I'm going to go to the doctor, see what's going on. And then I start a sand volleyball league this week. Oh, no way.
Oh, my gosh.
And it starts on Thursday. So I'm really excited to do sand volleyball again. And actually be able to play this time, because this time last year when I did it, my foot was broken.
Oh, my gosh. That is really, like, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah.
That's really, like, I'm like, wait. Yeah, you did do that.
I did break my foot last year.
Dang. Okay.
But that's all I have until the next time we record next Sunday.
Oh, because we're recording like pretty soon after we're talking to you guys. Yeah. So, okay, you'll have more next week. I don't have that much either. I also have a doctor's appointment. I'm going to the ENT. I've never been to an ENT before, but that's where my doctor told me to go to get checked out for my sense of smell issue. I don't know how much background I gave you guys on this pod, but my mom doesn't have a sense of smell. Did I talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
or at least you told me, but
okay. I don't know if I said it on here or like in real life, but my mom can't smell. And she hasn't had a sense of smell for all of her adulthood, long enough that she doesn't remember when she lost it. She knows she used to be able to smell. She knows she can't smell now. Nothing in between, has no details, didn't go to the doctor about it. She was just like, this is my life. But, I like did the horrible thing to do, which is Google my symptoms. And it says that when you lose your sense of smell, that can often be like an underlying, symptom of other conditions, like longer term health conditions. So my only reason that I really want to go, I feel like, is just to make sure we're all good, we're healthy, there's no other conditions going on, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, this just could be my life. Like, if it happened to my mom, that could be what happens to me, and it is what it is. But I'll keep you guys posted after I go to the doctor. My other thing is today we are doing Barbenheimer at Angela's Sisters. So we are going to watch Barbie and Oppenheimer in one day. It's 5 hours of movie. And then
I'm excited for you.
I know. And then also we're getting Chinese food at my favorite place. So that's what I'm most excited for. And Grace too. She was like, Erica, tomorrow's Chinese food night. Everyone else is like, it's movie night. And me and Grace are like, we're getting golden chopsticks. Yay. It's the best. It's my favorite Chinese and our favorite lo mein. So we're going to get some spicy lo mein and love our life. This is so random, but me and Angela were like, we should bring our twin air mattresses over and just lay them on the floor. So I think we're going to do that so that we're cozy. But then also I was like, if I fall asleep, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
What are we gonna say?
I told Kyle I'm doing not shit today because
Nice.
like, I mean, I've just been so busy this weekend
Yeah, you
with like
have.
everything, and like not feeling good on top of it is just like horrible.
Yeah,
And I didn't talk about this last time, but I was also horribly hungover yesterday from the concert.
Oh God. Yeah.
So
for the party too.
Yeah. So I was
God.
just like not having a great time yesterday. So I'm like,
That's
I
rough.
just need to like lay on the couch
relax.
today and do nothing.
Yeah, I need to finish my book club book. I'm very close.
Really? Do you
Yeah.
love it?
I love it. I think I have like less. I think I probably have 10% left.
Okay.
No. Sorry, 20% left.
Okay.
But I'm getting close, and I really am liking it.
I really
I
liked
already
it.
looked up her other books to see if I should pick one for the next one because I'm
Oh,
like, it's really good.
wow.
Like, I really like her
It
writing
wasn't.
so far.
It's like a mystery, so it's not like.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, there is true crime in it, but like it wasn't
Yeah.
like super in depth true crime.
Yeah.
Are
I'm
you gonna want to
excited.
watch the show before you record next week?
I want to try, but I don't know if I'm
Okay.
gonna have time. But I
I
want to try
think.
to.
Well, Kyle and I
started
just
it?
finished Ted Lasso like last night,
nice.
so we're gonna watch it today
Today.
probably.
Okay. Yeah. You'll have to let me know. Either way, you watch it, and then if I don't watch it, you can still give us spoilers. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Kyle is on call today though, and I told him I wanted to watch it together. So if he gets
Yeah.
called in, like that's gonna be
gonna have
annoying.
to wait, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, that's all my updates, except I did want to shout out that we have a guest episode coming up in a couple
Oh,
weeks.
I
so-
forgot. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to shout that out, get you guys hype. I hope you all loved the Jada episode, getting to know Marissa's friend Jada, and now Marissa's other friend is coming on, Courtney, and we're going to be interviewing her really soon. So I
Yeah.
just want to give that a little shout out. I'll actually tell you guys.
A lot of
when
the
that's gonna
questions
come
are
out.
going to be similar, but
Yeah.
Courtney is in a completely different line of work, and her story is
Yeah.
like not entirely different, but a
Yeah.
little bit different. I don't know if you've looked at the questions yet, Erica, but they
Yeah, I
are
think I did.
they're similar enough that it's going to sound like a similar interview, but Courtney's
Yeah.
answers are going to be so different. I already know.
Yeah, that's going to be in 2 weeks from when you guys are hearing this. So that's
Yay.
the next thing we record, which is really exciting. And you guys will hear her interview come out on October 9th. And before her episode ever comes to air, before you guys even hear it, we will have recorded the next guest episode with one of my friends. So we're on a roll. I think in 2025, we will have some like regular guest spots where we fill in like with our friends and family. Or if you guys want to come on the podcast, if you're listening to this, and you're
Yeah.
like, I really want to talk about my life and like hang out with the girls, let us know. Like we could open an application. I think that could be fun. So now that we're really figuring out how to record on Zoom and it's working fairly well, I would say, we can expand. So
Yay.
it's fun. But anyways, that's it, I think. So
Yeah,
we can
not
get
too much
into
is happening
talking
in one
about
week.
Voting. I know.
Yeah.
And we are going to be talking again so soon. So
Yes.
so yeah, like I said, today we're going to talk about voting. This is a conversation that we're both, I think, really excited to have and share with you. We were relating on this when we were talking about the topic. Me and Marissa were like, wait, me too. Angelo brought it up to me. I will credit him as being the original idea. He was like, first of all, this is really timely because of the election, which I was like, yeah, of course. And he was like, I also think, number two, this could really, really help people. And I agreed with him. I was like, that's so true, because I always felt like in the dark, and a lot of times I would just like not vote in like a just like a different election that's not a presidential election. I don't even know what to call it. Just like a regular election. I don't know.
Yeah.
A local election. But there would be times where I just didn't vote in those because I literally just didn't know. Like I felt so uneducated about both sides, and I don't identify with a party. Like personally, I'm registered as like an independent. I think you can just Google that about me. So I don't know. But
I don't even know if
registered-
I'm registered as
Yeah.
anything.
I know. I'm registered as an independent, I think. And I just don't know. I just feel so undereducated. So I just want to share some resources with you guys today. And in introducing this topic to Marissa, when I brought it to her, we also found that we have a similar experience in that. So we've both never voted in a presidential election, right? And I put that one main driver of that, at least for me, would be like a lack of knowledge on issues, candidates, politics in general. It gets to the point to me where it's so overwhelming that I'm like, like I'd rather just not, like, leave me alone about it, you know? And I don't want to be that way. Like I want to be able to stand with what I believe, but it's just hard.
Yeah, and it's really hard because like we all hear how important voting is. Like we all hear like your vote counts,
Your vote
and
matters.
everything. Yeah. But like it's so hard for me to like see that too, because I'm like, I'm one little lonely girl out here. Like what do you mean my vote counts?
That's so true. It's just like I feel the same way. It's so true. It's just like what difference does it make if I do or don't, you know? That's how I feel sometimes. And I also will say, like, I think it also kind of depends on like how it was at your house. So like when I was growing up, my mom didn't vote either. I hope she doesn't care that I say that, but she didn't vote a lot either because she really it's the same reason. Is she was just like, I don't understand. I don't even know what to believe because a lot of the news is fake news. Some of the news is real news. Some of the news is made up by AI now, not then, but now. But she was just like, I just don't even know what to believe. Like, I know what I believe, but I don't know which candidate believes closer to what I believe, if that makes sense. So all that to say, we're diving in. We're going to give you guys some resources, some like tangible tips, everything like that. And also, at least me, and I don't know, maybe Marissa, but at least me, I'm not going to be talking about like either side, either party. It's not going to be party specific. We're just going to talk about like taking a step back and like how to actually vote. Yeah, like general knowledge about voting and how to find what party you're in or how to find what person you believe in. We're just not going to talk about ours because it's not what it's about. Like this is about helping you guys, navigate this.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a really like link heavy one, so in the like description of the episodes, like wherever you're on, if you're on like Spotify, you can click on like episode description, or it's like notes about show or something. You can click on that. We're gonna have all of the links there, and maybe we could even make like a PDF download or something that has all the links on it.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So these will be, all over our stuff. I'll add them to our link tree. Let me write this down.
Oh,
actually.
yes.
So if you're on our Instagram and you clink.
What?
Yes.
Like clink.
If you guys listened to the last episode, I can't speak today. Maybe we should keep clink though. That's funny. I will add it to our link tree so that if you click the link on our Instagram bio or all of our Facebook posts, they always have the link tree. So I will add a link there to all of our voting resources.
Yeah, it'll say like voting resources or like 2024 voter resources or something.
And it's all pretty like, like maybe we can just leave it there as a permanent link because, it can always help you guys. But yeah, let me give you a quick run through because I felt like I've been doing this recently and it's been helpful. So I'm just going to give you guys an overview. We're going to talk about voter registration. So how to register, checking your status, finding your polling location, voting in person, voting methods. And then we're going to talk about how to learn where you stand, like actually on issues. And then at the end, we're going to give you all those resources that we talked about that we use throughout to get our research.
Yeah. And one thing that I was talking with Erica about, I found this on YouTube. Me and Kyle watch like Good Mythical Morning every day, like when we're like eating dinner or whatever. And they recently have had like a little spiel that they talk about with a website called Vote Like a Beast. And Erica and I were talking and I told her like that's where I got my links from, just because like I had found that on social media. And she was like, wow, all the links on that website are literally all the ones I found. So if you're looking for like one place to find all of the links that you could need, that's probably a good resource. But we also have the one that we're going to put together that has everything, and we'll link their website in there too.
Yep, I'm adding it right now. For some reason, my computer does not want to hit paste.
That's okay.
Yeah, we will, like Marissa said, add the Good Mythical Morning one to this as well. I just added it. So
I don't even know if it's their website or if they just like promote it either. So.
It has merch on it too and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it says it's by Mythical, and Mythical is a creator-owned, creator-led entertainment studio, so they probably own that.
I think so.
And that's like the overarching brand. So that's
that
really
makes
cool.
sense. Yeah.
We kind of this Vote Like a Beast page that they collated is kind of the exact same thing as what we're doing. Like we're making our own webpage of our links, so that's really funny. But they're just pretty much the same. Links.
Ours is just not going to be as like interactive, I guess, as that.
Yeah, we ain't got time for that, guys. until you help us grow, we ain't got time to make a whole website, but someday. So okay, I'm gonna dive in first to like voter registration. So registering to vote, and then checking your voter status, finding your polling location. And now I'm realizing that this is crossing over into Marissa's section, so that's
okay.
I did not realize that. But yeah, so first of all, registering to vote. So you might be thinking like, I don't even know if I'm registered to vote. How long does that stay valid? I've never registered to vote, all of those things. So I'm about to tell you. The first resource that I just want to introduce right off the bat is usa.gov. This, for me, in making this episode, and you guys know that we try to focus on this a lot, like using really credible resources. For this episode, I really was trying to find something that's a .gov, a .org, like a government regulated or segmented, or I don't know the right word, website. So you know that I'm going to get into this more later, but like voting is kind of a vulnerable time of year. And so it's a good time for the hackers to come out and start making fake resources for you to click on and put your name into and try to scam people and get their information. And it's kind of a little bit of a scary thing. So that's why I was really, really trying for this episode to find those good ones. So USA.gov, remember that? This has so many good resources. So we're going to walk through them. The first one is just USA.gov, and this is /voter-registration-deadlines. And I am so sorry in advance. It's going to be annoying to hear me say the exact link, but I do think it's important for you guys to know where you're headed, because like I said, I do not want people to get scammed this voter season just because you're not aware of what's going on. So USA.gov/voter-registration-deadlines. So that link, if you click on it, which I'm actually going to do it right now with you so I can talk you guys all through it. But if you click on it, it will take you right to the voter registration deadlines page on USA.gov. And it just talks about that every state has its own voter registration deadline, and you can find yours on the link that they add. So it branches you out to the usvotefoundation.org. Once you get there and you click the links, it'll take you to the next website, which is really, really, really a nice place because you can actually select your state in the drop-down box on that new website it takes you to. I'm sorry, this is so confusing, you guys. But just go to the link I said. You'll get there. But it has this drop-down box on it, and you can select, whatever U.S. state you live in, and it will tell you the federal and state election dates, and then it will also tell you, everything about the upcoming elections, like what you need to know. You click on the little boxes, and it will tell you, the voter registration deadline for the Ohio presidential primary. It will tell you your absentee ballot request deadline, which we're going to get into a little bit. Marissa's going to talk more about the absentee ballot. And then it will talk to you about early voting in person. So whatever state you live in, you just click it, type it in, and it will give you all the information that you could possibly need about that. So the reason that we're doing this episode now is because for the most part, we might have missed a couple, like one or two, but for the most part, there should still be time as you're listening to this to register to vote for this year's election in November. So if you're not registered, I would recommend going over there to USA.gov right now and checking if you want to register to vote this year. It's still possible for sure.
Another tangent, but I didn't know any of this. You could register to vote online. Whenever I go and renew my license, I just make sure I'm registered to vote, because you can do it at the DMV too.
Yeah. That's really good to know. I didn't even think of that. So that's also something I'm sure you could just walk into the DMV and ask. Yeah. So if you're like, oh, I'm not good at tech, or I don't want to do it on the computer, or I don't want to get scammed, or I don't trust sites, or whatever your stance is, and you're like, I don't really want to do it this way. Yeah, that's a really good option. Just walk into the DMV, give them your info, and see if you can check that there.
Yeah, when I moved to Virginia, they were like, oh, are you registered to vote? And I was like, I just moved here, probably not. And so they were like, okay, we'll register you to vote. And it's just do you want to register to vote on the screen? And you select yes, and then it does for you.
That's so easy. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, good to know. So head to the DMV if you want. So we're still talking about USA.gov. So that, like I said, that voter registration deadline page, that gets you to where you need to go to check the deadlines for your state. But that's all you're doing there, right? You're only checking your deadline. So to actually register to vote, we're going to have to go to a new link. So this is going to be USA.gov/register-to-vote. So if you click on that link, or if you type that link into your browser, which again, they're all in the description of this episode, it brings you to the USA.gov how to register to vote page. And it talks about how you can register online, by mail, or in person at your local election office. Okay, so that's kind of like Marissa was saying too. I'm sure you could just go to your local election office. But if you go ahead and go to that page and click on the link, it will bring you to vote.gov. And that is another super, super easy place where it just has a drop down of all the states, and you click on yours and it gets you where you need to go to register to vote. This is one that I just want to mention where I was looking for a good resource to recommend to you all, and I did get caught up on a couple websites that were .com websites that seemed like a little bit sketchy. They were like, just give us your first name, your last name, and your birthday and your state, and we'll register for you. And that to me felt weird. Oh, we'll register for you. So they're going to take all of your information, put it into their random website, keep it, but then also pass it on to the state and register you to vote. I was like, I don't trust that whole telephone process. So that's why I'm recommending this .gov, vote.gov register website. So all that to say, once you get there, you select your state from the drop-down menu, and it will send you to the correct place to register to vote in your state. And so I included Ohio and Virginia because, of course, that's probably where most of our listeners are. So if you're in Ohio, bear with me. I'm going to read a link. I'm so sorry. If you're in Ohio, you're going to type in olvr.ohiosos.gov. So that's the exact link on where you register to vote if you live in Ohio. And then if you live in Virginia, where it takes you is elections.virginia.gov/registration/how-to-register. And that just takes you to the Virginia Department of Elections website. And so if you live in Ohio or Virginia like we do, those are exactly where you can go to register. Okay.
Woohoo.
So much
Sorry
info.
if I look distracted. One,
No, it's
Kyle
okay.
walked up here. Two, I was checking my voter registration status, which is the next section you're going into.
I love it. Did you see me wave to Kyle?
Yeah, I was.
That's so
he
funny.
scared me.
He was just waving in the back. I was like, hello.
I heard something, which was apparently the stairs, but I thought when I was typing, I was just hitting my cords, and it was like banging.
That's funny. Yeah. The cord noise always actually scares me, though.
Mm-hmm.
So real. Okay, so my last little portion here is we're going to talk about checking your voter status, like Marissa said, and then kind of finding your poller location. Yeah, your poller location. Yeah. So all of that, I feel like, did all of that make sense? I felt like that was just a mouthful, but
it's just
a
lot of links,
which
lot. I think you saying the links here is going to help them understand like where to go in the the links
in the description.
That we're
Yeah, and they'll all be listed. You guys, I try to list them in order. So as you're listening to this episode, if you each link is in order of how we say it in the episode, just so that it's easier for you guys to find it. So yeah, whether you're registered to vote or you've been registered for a long time, or you forgot your status, like Marissa was saying, she just checked because she was like, I don't know. Or if you forget where your polling location is, you can head to USA.gov for all of that. So this is why I love USA.gov, and that's why I said just go there. It can take you everywhere you need to go. So if you go to USA.gov/confirm-voter-registration, again, it tells you exactly where to go to check your status. So it will take you out to nas.org, which is the National Association of Secretaries of State. And once you get to that page, there's a bunch of different options for you. So you can actually get your absentee ballots. You can volunteer to be a poll worker. You can find your polling place. Or, like Marissa said, you can check your voter registration status. So if you actually click on the voter registration status link, you will select your state from the dropdown again, and just follow the steps to confirm that you're actually already registered. So it also should include your polling location, but if it doesn't, I think Marissa's going to go more into like how to do that. So I'll just skip that and let her go on.
I have it pulled up here, so I'll kind of tell you, like, this is why I wanted to look it up. So I obviously am in Virginia, so I looked up the Virginia links and everything. So when you type it in, I guess I am registered to vote, it says on here. So I'm going to tell you like what it shows you if you are registered to vote. So it has my full name, my voter number, my status says active. So I'm guessing it would say inactive or not registered if you are not registered to vote. It has the date of that status. It has your address, your locality. So for me, that's my county that I live in. I'm guessing that's probably what it would be. Yeah. It has my precinct, so like my precinct number and then the name of it, and then it also has my precinct code, which is similar to like my precinct number that's listed above it.
Okay, amazing.
And then it has my polling place, the facility, the address, and it also has information on if it's ADA compliant. So that's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it tells me my districts of everything too. So like my congressional, my state, my House of Delegates, and my election district.
It gives you the most.
It does.
If you're not registered to vote, I just put in somebody in my, like that I know is not registered just to see what it would say. And so if you put it in, at least on the Ohio site, it says, we could not locate your voter registration with the information you provided. Please review and confirm that the information is accurate. And then if not, it gives you a link to where you can go if you're not registered. So if you're not registered, probably nothing will come up. So that's how you can know that you are not, and you should complete your application or your registration.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, amazing. So like Erica said, I'm going to go into like voting methods. So this is a pretty like small section. There's really only 2 methods to vote. So you can go in person, and you can do this by finding your polling place, which I showed you, or I told you on here. On this website, it should tell you your polling location. But I also have that other link that is vote.org/polling-place-locator, and then a bunch of other words. There's like question marks and equal signs. So I'm not going to give you all of that. stuff.
That's fine.
But you can go there and it will tell you where your polling place is, and you just have to give them like your address and your name. So that'll help you find that information. And that's voting in person. And then you can also vote by mail, which is called an absentee ballot. So you can put in a request for an absentee ballot, and all of the deadlines to request an absentee ballot are different by state. So making sure that you're checking your absentee request by deadline in your, like, on all those resources that Erica just told you, those will be listed up there. And then you can go here to vote.org/absentee-ballot, and then again, a lot of other things. But if you go there, it will also tell you how to request your absentee ballot.
Yes. And just so you guys know, because I was like not understanding this previously, and I finally was like, oh, this makes sense. Absentee means you're going to be absent from voting in person.
Yes.
So if you can't make it to the polling location in person because you have to work, or you have to go,
you're going out of town.
Yeah,
or
you're going on a vacation, you're going to a funeral or whatever. Like, for any reason, if you can't vote in person, they still want to make it possible for your vote to count, like we said, for your voice to be heard. So that is when you would request an absentee ballot and vote in the mail. So hopefully that makes sense. And then also I want to give a quick detour for a little marketing lesson, because this is really fun, and I just noticed this. So like Marissa said, vote.org/absentee-ballot. And then she said there's a question mark and a bunch of characters. This is what this means. So you actually don't need, so once you get to a question mark at the end of a link, or an ampersand, like the and symbol, anything that comes after that, you don't technically need to get to the right website. What it's for is tracking. So on Marissa's link, it says question mark campaign equals vote like a beast. That is because once you get to the link from the Vote Like a Beast website, Vote Like a Beast will know that you, Marissa, on your computer clicked on their link and got to that page because of them. And so they're like, okay, now we know how many people went to that website just because they were on Vote Like a Beast.
That makes sense.
So that's a fun little marketing thing, and it's called a UTM parameter, and it's solely for tracking purposes. So technically, if you just delete the question mark and everything after it, you'll still go to the right place. They just won't know where you came from.
Oh,
so it's really interesting. That was going to be part of my marketing episode, but it got too crazy, you know?
That's okay. And I threw it in here.
Right? Yeah. And now we have it. So, okay. The next thing is we're going to talk about learning where you stand. So this is exactly what I was saying at the beginning, where I used to have a trouble, like, understanding what candidate I go with, like, relate to. And also there are so many more candidates than like the main ones, right? Like the two main ones. And Marissa and I were talking about this before. I feel like it's really common to be like, oh, there's a Republican and a Democrat. That's it. It's like there are a lot of other candidates that we can talk about. So I'm just going to start us off with an information disclaimer. And yeah, I just want to talk about being critical of where you get your information, because I think a lot of us can fall into this trap, especially with social media, like I said, being kind of polarizing, or also just a big part of our life. Social media is a huge part of our life. So I was just jotting down my thoughts, and I wanted to talk about that. I think it's important to realize, like, your voice can make a difference and can be heard, like Marissa was saying, and we're going to get into like actual validity of your votes and things like that. But I think it's listening to endorsements of like your favorite influencer, your favorite public figure, can be a really dangerous game, and I think a lot of people do that. So I just want to talk about it for example. And I did like write a little example with like an actual celebrity's name in it, and I was like, that's not the point, so I took it out. So I'm just going to say, think of your favorite singer, everybody. You know who yours are. You probably know who ours are. That's fine. So just imagine your favorite singer in your head right now. Close your eyes. And I just wrote down, like, this is just an example. You listening to your favorite singer, you know, going on Instagram Live and saying, vote purple, you know, vote blue, vote red, vote green, whatever they're saying, could be scary. And it's not because you shouldn't vote purple or blue or red or green. It's because you shouldn't just agree with your favorite singer. You can agree with them, but you shouldn't do it just because they're your favorite singer, right? Just because they're trying to tell you how to vote or trying to tell you how to feel. I think it's important to understand how you think, what you think's important, what you think's valuable to you, what you think will make a real difference in your life. And I want this episode to help you guys do that. So I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm not saying don't listen to your favorite singer. If you agree with them, that's awesome. But I want people to like be able to get there on their own, right? I want to help you understand what's important to you and how it affects your actual life before you go and, you know, shout it on Instagram. I hope that makes sense and kind of illustrates what I'm trying to say. And I'm not trying to tell you guys also what to think, because that's exactly what I'm saying to not do, is to not think what someone tells you. Like, develop your own opinion and really do something that's true to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'll go into how you can develop your own opinion.
Yay!
So a couple like steps of how to do it is you can look at both sides of the argument. So like obviously there is a black and white side. So like there's a yes side, a no side, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's also various different like stages in between.
There's so much gray.
Yeah.
Like
so
in the middle.
You can hear about an argument, you can make your own opinion about it, and then start researching and see what the repercussions, the implications, the good things that come from your argument, and see like make a pros and cons list and say like, okay, well here's the repercussions, but here's all of the good things that could come out of it, and see where you like fall with all of those in mind, and then decide on that like where on that scale that you feel the most comfortable. So if you feel like you're really really against something, or you're really really for something, or maybe you're right in the middle and you don't care, that's okay. And you can have those opinions. Like if you don't care about, I don't even know a political opinion, but if you don't care about one, that's okay. That's your stance on it, and you'll find candidates that also don't have a like polarizing
strong
opinion about it. So then you need to understand which candidate most aligns with your views. So you can do that by researching all of the candidates like campaigns, and that's a lot of information to comb through. So I think that I included a link to take a quiz. It's isidewith.com/elections/2024-presidential-quiz. And I took this quiz, and the person that I got, I don't even remember the person's name, but it was not one of like
not a main party,
not a main like
or not
candidate.
A main person.
Yeah. And so I think it was really interesting to just be like, oh, well, like I didn't even know how many people are on the ballot. Like, because Erica and I said we've never voted in a presidential election. I know there's more than just like the two primary candidates, but it's like, who else
good amount
is
more
there?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I actually side with somebody that's not a primary candidate. I wonder why. And it will tell you on this website what percentage of things that you agreed with and what percentage of things you didn't agree on. And you can filter by those. So I filtered like on mine, like by yes, like the things that we both agreed to. And I was like, okay, these are like a good portion of the things. And I also went to the no to see what the differences in our opinions were.
Yeah.
And the good thing about this is that it also talks about like more than just yes or no answers. So it has different options, and it also has a section to drop down if you don't know what the question is asking. So one of the things was like, I don't know, talking about.
So the first question on this quiz is, should the government increase or decrease military spending?
Yeah, that's a very loaded question.
Right. So you can actually click learn more. And then it says the U.S. military's budget pays the salaries, training, and health care of uniformed and civilian personnel, maintains arms, equipment, and facilities, funds operations, and develops and buys new items. And it keeps going and going. And it gives you so much background. It gives you actual numbers of amount of money, the budget, what the budget's used for in the military. And then you can decide, should the government increase it or decrease it, or neither. I'm satisfied with current spending. Increase, but only after our deficit is drastically reduced. Add your own stance, or this question is no longer relevant and should be removed. So you have so many options of where you fall. You can also skip.
Yeah, and that one's also a question that I remember, like, some of them had a billion options to choose from for your stance. So that one's like an example of not very many stances, and that's why you can add your own.
Yep, you can put in whatever you feel. And if you are like, I just really don't know, and this isn't something that's like important to me, or this isn't something I understand and like want to sway what my results will be, just skip it and move on. There are a lot of questions on this quiz.
Yeah, it took me probably like 15-20 minutes, but I wasn't being like really introspective when I did it, and I probably should be. So
it can be as long or short as you want.
And you can just repeat this process with every argument or issue and start to prioritize which ones are more important to you than the others. So with like this one, like Erica said, like the military spending, you can decide if that's something super important to you, not as important, or just somewhere in the middle, and you're like, this is okay, I'm okay with it, and we're going to move on and find the other things that we're most passionate about.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, this I side with quiz, this is something Angelo showed me, I guess 4 years ago, or maybe even earlier, because it was the last presidential election that I actually took this quiz. And first of all, you guys know we love a quiz. Let's be real. It's fun to do a quiz, but also this was the best way that I could understand where I side with, like where I stand with how many candidates there are. Like Marissa said, there are a lot of candidates, especially early on. There are so many candidates, so it's like how am I supposed to find each candidate and research them and understand their stance on every single issue I care about? You can't. Like, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So that's why this quiz is so perfect. It has, I'm going to read really quickly the categories it has. And like we said, you can always skip a category, whatever, but they have foreign policy, and it only gives you 3 of each category. But there's a button that says show more foreign policy questions. So say science is really important to you. Science is the next category. If science is something that's really important to you, really important in your life, and you really feel like you want your vote to count towards, you know, that kind of issue, you would do maybe all of the science questions instead of just 3. And so on. So they have technology, environmental issues, education, immigration, healthcare, domestic policy, transportation, electoral, housing, economic, national security, social issues, criminal issues, and then at the bottom they have local issues. And so any of those you can just do 3, you can do 0, 1 or 2, or you can expand them and do all of them. And once you finish the quiz at the bottom, you just, you know, you submit it, and like Marissa said, that's where you get your results. And it doesn't just say like, oh, here you go, here's your one person. You actually get to see, I'm pretty sure, all the candidates, right? And it shows you how closely or how far away you align from every single candidate that's on the ballot currently.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important because it will show you all of their answers for all the same questions too.
Oh,
so you can look and you can be like, wow, I know that I don't side with this person, but then you can see why.
Why. That's really helpful too, because especially if you might not closely align with someone because you didn't pick the exact same answer, but maybe you were close. Maybe you were like yes or yes, but, you know, like maybe you had a really close answer. That's really cool.
I looked into those too because, like I said, I really only answered yes or no on it. I wasn't being very introspective, but it was cool to see like what my percentage was of like my top person, and then compare like what the answers were that we disagreed on and see why, because some of them, like the person had answered like a more specific answer other than just yes or no, and I was like, wait, I agree with that one more.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm honestly, I'm really excited to go take this quiz after this and see where I stand this year. Yeah,
and I think that like Erica was saying, like going and researching each candidate is a lot. I remember when it was announced that like Joe Biden was dropping out of the election and Kamala Harris was going to be taking his spot, I wanted to look up like what Kamala Harris believes in, because I was like, oh, like is she going to like I don't know anything about her. I know that she's the vice president, but that's it. And I tried to look it up and I literally could not find any information because I didn't know how.
Yeah, it's so hard. And then you, again, like I said, vulnerable time of year, you end up on weird websites, you end up with fake news, you end up with an AI bot telling you some crazy things. So yeah, it's really, really hard. And I think that's just what's been my biggest hurdle ever from voting.
And this was like the first time that I'd ever seen a quiz where I understood what was happening and it gave me like a concrete answer. And it was like, I was stating my opinion without knowing the other opinions first, which I thought was really important, because like, I don't like feeling swayed by hearing somebody else's opinion first. So I thought that this quiz was a really good place to like take it like an unbiased quiz. Like it was just me and like what my brain was saying was the answer and not knowing anybody else's answers.
It's so true. And I did want to say, you guys, when you first click this link, if you're going to go take this I Side With quiz that we're talking about, when you first click the link and you first open the page, you have to agree to their little pop-up. And their pop-up says, isidewith.com is an independent, self-funded, nonpartisan voter education website. So that's, I don't know, something that I think's good to hear. I mean, anybody can type anything, right? Like that doesn't mean you should believe everything you read, but it is cool to hear that it's a nonpartisan voter website, because that's exactly what Marissa and I are coming to this episode with, is that we don't want to sway you. We don't want to have bias. We don't want to tell you our political beliefs, not because we don't believe in our political beliefs, but because it's for you to decide what's right for you. And I really believe that. So that's something really cool about this website, is that it's not from one party coming in and like donating a bunch of money, or like they don't have any like financial gain to promote either side. That's why they say they're self-funded. So I think that's a really important piece. It also says that they do not sell personally identifying information about you to third parties, which lots of websites do. So that's really cool. And you don't have to make an account or anything. You just hop on there, take the quiz, and you can leave. And you know, you can make an account if you want to save your info, but you don't have to. So anyway, that was a big tangent about the quiz, but I think that's one of the best resources personally. So
yeah, I really liked it.
So Marissa just gave us like our little step-by-step guide of like, you know, how to look at both sides, see where you feel. I do think something that I was like, ooh, chills, is decide where on a scale of an issue that you feel most comfortable, right? Not where you think the right answer is, not where you feel like you should be, but what's most comfortable to you, because these are like whatever you vote for or whatever, you know, wins the election. That's what you have to have implemented into your life, right? Laws go into action. We see this happen all the time where it's like laws get appealed or laws go into action and people are freaking out because they're like, this is my life. You can't control my life. And it's like, okay, don't let them control your life. You know, find what's important to you and put that vote in. Like, it counts. So I said the guide is great, but how do you actually use it? You might be asking us. So I want to talk really quickly about validity of votes. So I think what's important in using that little guide to make decisions on voting or political standings, like it's important to know how your vote is actually valid. So we're going to talk really quickly about tangible, technically validity. Very weird like term, but this is from Ballotpedia, which is another site that will be listed on our description. And this is another great resource, which I will talk a little bit more about what it is later. But it talks about a spoiled ballot, which I didn't know it's called spoiled. And I think that's really funny because it sounds like food. Yeah. But a spoiled ballot, and this is a direct quote from the site, a spoiled ballot is a ballot that has been marked incorrectly and is not counted by election officials. Spoiled ballots can happen for any number of accidental or deliberate reasons, such as being torn, soiled, or marked in any way that would identify the voter. A spoiled ballot never makes it into a ballot box. This differs from a rejected ballot. That's a different thing. A rejected ballot is a ballot that makes it into the ballot box, but then is rejected later for being improperly marked, such as undervoting or overvoting or not being marked at all. So this is talking about like actual physical paper votes, whether it's your absentee ballot you sent in the mail or you go in person. And I think when you vote in person, it might be digital now. I think. But still, I think there's probably ways you could mismark it on a computer. So for in-person voting, should a voter accidentally make an incorrect mark or damage on their ballot, they are able to turn it in for a new one with the initial ballot being spoiled. In states where a voter may change his or her vote after casting an absentee or mail-in ballot, the initial ballot is spoiled and the new vote is counted instead. So I didn't even know that you could do that. Like, I didn't even know you could vote once and then vote again if you change your mind. So that's something interesting to keep in mind. They're going to keep the new vote. In states that allow it. In states that allow for the correction of absentee or mail-in ballots, in the event of a signature mismatch, that ballot is not considered spoiled. Other than those two exceptions, an absentee or mail-in ballot that has been spoiled in any manner will not be counted. So it's kind of confusing, and you can dive more into this on Ballotpedia. But I just want to talk about like how it physically counts, right? Those are the only reasons that your vote would actually physically not be counted. I also wanted to talk about big picture validity. That's not a real term. I just made that up. Like, that's just how I feel like describes this section. But for example, someone might say to you, like, why would you vote for the independent party? No independent candidate ever wins, right? That I use that quote because that is something that's really common to hear. And Angela was mentioning it. Like, he's heard that from people. Like, why would you do that? Why would you vote independent?
Yeah, well, I heard that too, and I was talking to Kyle about this a little bit, like when we were first talking about like doing this episode, and it's like, this is another thing that like made it so hard to vote in the past for me. It's like you hear like your vote counts, whatever, and then you like hear about the Electoral College, and like I don't know too much about the Electoral College, but I know every state has a certain amount of like votes that it gets, and that makes me feel like, well, if the state gets a certain amount of votes, why does my vote matter? Like the state already gets a certain amount of votes, so what's my vote gonna do? And then also like, well, if I don't agree with the top two people, like I hear like voting for somebody else is better than not voting at all, but why?
Yes. That's another good quote that people say. It's like, why would you ever vote independent? No one independent ever wins. But then you also hear like, well, voting's better than not voting, period. Right?
How?
So
why?
I was writing down like, at least for this like independent question, like why would you vote independent, right? Why would you not vote Republican or Democrat? And this is something that Angela brought up that I thought was a really, really good point. He was like, that vote can still count and it can speak volumes if enough people do it. Maybe your independent person doesn't win, right? But if there are a large enough number of votes for a third party candidate, it could indicate that people feel that there needs to be a big change for them to feel heard or seen in those two main parties or with those two main candidates. So in that case, your vote, it's still heard, right? It's just in a different way than you expected. So even if that candidate doesn't win, but there were a lot of votes for them, like that might say, hey, like we're not agreeing with the Democrat Party candidate or the Republican Party candidate. We need something else. Something needs to change. So if voting for a third party is like what you feel really passionately about, or you take the quiz and you really, really align with a third party, don't be scared to place the vote where it matters to you. Like your vote still matters. Don't let anyone tell you that like you're being silly, right? To be educated and to vote on something that's important to you isn't isn't silly. That's exactly what you should be doing. It's a true, I said this is true for voting for any candidate or party that you feel aligned with, right? I'm not just saying independent. I'm just saying that's a common like misconception, I guess. But any party like that you feel passionately and aligned with, that's who you should vote for. Like whoever is right for you. Voting is your voice. So don't let anyone take away your voice. Like use yours. So yeah, that's the big picture validity, which is a term I made up. But yeah, I just want to go so quickly into the resources because I did add a couple more links that we didn't really talk about, but that I think are really, really good. So really quickly, we of course have the 2024 presidential quiz. We did talk about that. isidewith.com. It's just a good one. And I'm really excited to take it because like I said, a quiz is fun, but also like I have not gone on any of these websites where I have to, it's like when you have to do the self-guided research, it's like, I don't even know what to look for, right? Like, I don't know what's important. So when I have the quiz right in front of me, it's like, these are questions that are really, really common in this category. And here's what they mean. I'm like, okay, that's helpful to me. But like I said, I also have Ballotpedia, which is one I talked about earlier in this episode and one that was on Good Mythical Morning that Marissa was talking about on their site. So Ballotpedia, just from the Who We Are section of their page, I just copied this, so I'll read it to you. Ballotpedia is the digital encyclopedia of American politics and the nation's premier resource for unbiased information on elections, politics, and policy. We provide our readers curated content on all levels of United States politics that are relevant, reliable, and available for all. In addition, Ballotpedia's policy, content, and assets are a gateway to learning about public policy and an unparalleled resource for clear, comprehensive, and factual information on key policy areas. We are firmly committed to neutrality in all of our content. So that's another one that I just feel like is so important.
We love neutrality.
Yes, when you're looking for some research and you want to, form your own opinions. And like Marissa said, it's like not fun when someone tries to like sway your opinion before you even have one, right? So that's a great resource again to just explore and read stuff and think, does that make me uncomfortable or does that make me comfortable? Does that make me feel a little bit better? That's how you can kind of gauge how you feel about certain issues. The last one I have, this one is also a actually all three of these resources came from Angelo, so shout out.
Wow.
He's really good. He's really good at this kind of stuff, and like especially the non-biased like resources. He's really passionate about people getting educated, in their own way. So this one's called League of Women Voters, and this one is really cool. This is exactly from their site again. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. We empower voters and defend democracy through advocacy, education, and litigation at the local, state, and national levels. So if you are a woman or if you really are passionate about women's rights, this is a really, really cool one that is, again, nonpartisan, but it also just dives into all issues and a lot of issues, but they have a special focus on women voters and women's issues. So I thought that one was a really good one for us to plug as well.
Yeah,
being
because
women.
Yeah, we are women and the majority of our listener population is women too.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So that's kind of a wrap up of all the like resources, and again, they're all going to be listed in order in the description, so please head over there if you want to read any of them. But I'm feeling pretty good about this episode.
Yeah. I'm really excited to take the presidential quiz again and
I know, yeah,
actually
like really
see
get
what
into
the
it.
real answer is.
Me too. I'll definitely send you what I get because that's another thing is that I think that I don't know, politics are scary because of the passion that people have for it, right? So it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm scared to say what I am. It's kind of taboo, like in the way that some people don't like to talk about money, right? Like Marissa and I have talked about in the past, like I've told you guys my salary. I told you how much I spend in a month. We talked about how we are like kind of not destigmatizing money because that sounds really dramatic, but almost like, taking the stigma, almost like taking the stigma away of talking about how much money you make and comparing that with other people and whatever. And I feel the same kind of way about politics. I'm like, I'm really open to talking about it with people that I trust and care about, but it's when you get in those situations where people really want to just like be passionate and attack, and that's when it gets scary. And I'm like, wait, maybe I don't want to be into politics anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you. You're scary.
Like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm gonna leave. So yeah, those are the times where it gets like a little bit scary. So stay strong out there is what I'm trying to say. And really find your beliefs, find what's true to you, use your voice. Your voice matters. Do not let someone else control your voice. That's like my biggest takeaway message. So yeah.
Yay.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
I feel like that was pretty good.
am dying.
Yeah, Marissa can't talk anymore, you guys, so you're just gonna have to listen to me.
Yeah.
So anyways, register to vote if you haven't already and you're interested, or even if you just want the opportunity to vote, right? I've registered to vote many years ago. It's still active, like it's still an active thing. It's not like I have to keep registering every year. It's not like that. So register to vote if you even just want to have the option in the future, right? You don't have to use it this year, but you can use it eventually. And now's as good a time as any. It's really, really easy to do it online. Like Marissa said, she didn't even realize you could do it online.
Yeah.
Super simple process. So just check it out and make sure that, you know, you're still in deadline for the presidential election if you would like to be in your state. And I'm really sorry to the international listeners because this was very United States heavy.
Very United States heavy. But who knows? Maybe we have American citizens living abroad that are listening.
Hey,
so.
That's true. Yeah. So just so you guys know, get your absentee ballot, you know?
Yeah.
So that's all. Definitely follow us to stay up to date at We Run on Coffee on Instagram. And Marissa's got to go to the doctor, so we have to go.
I do.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you so much. We'll see you next week. And with that, I'm Erica.
And I'm Marissa.
And we run on coffee. Go
Bye.
vote.